The college football experience, Utah State Aggies 2024 season preview episode on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. You can win up to 325 times the amount of money you enter with their new Pick 8 sign up. And when you do sign up with the promo code TCESGPN to claim your special pick plus first time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. Yes, they do have college football action. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code TCESGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Get the best data-driven props and picks from Rhythm. Claim your free 7-day trial period today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's RITHMM. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. And remember, as always, folks, too, let it ride.
This is Brock Purdy from Iowa State, and you're listening to SGPN. Let it ride.
Football experience. Yes, Utah State Aggies 2024 team preview. Aggie up, Aggie all the way, whatever they say. I'm excited to talk a little Utah State Aggie football. YouTube.com/the college experience. You can watch this thing. We got graphics and everything. If not, it's okay if you listen on podcasts. That works too. Still gets us paid. That helps us. All right. But look, I'm excited to talk Utah State football. If you're wondering who the hell you're listening to, that's fair. My name is Colby Swinging Database Dan, a.k.a. Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
Let's go. Utah State Aggie football.
Boom.
Yes. I mean, I got a lot to talk to you about. I got to introduce you. I am joined by my co-host, whose JMU Dukes did win in Logan recently. Give it up for former JMU Duke defensive back, the burrito eating, sideline kiss stealing, wheeling and dealing, Patty C in the place to be.
Hi-oh.
Let's get it going.
Oh, yeah.
Let's get it going. Shout out to Robert Martin. Shout out to Ryan Hasty. The chat is rocking, talking James Murphy, bringing up all the greats, Chris Cooley. Let's go. I love some Utah State Aggie football.
Now, I'll give Utah State credit. We were giving it to them early, but damn did they come back on us. Put the fear of God in me that we were going to blow that game 45-38 final. And I don't think it was cheap. That game was not put away when Utah State closed that gap. They really showed that offense can explode when it gets going.
Where are you at with this program? Because if I had to describe this program, and I know they have some good wins. They won the Mountain West just 3 years ago. And they need that signature win to me. Right?
Yeah.
They've been knocking on the door, man. They have been knocking on that door. I remember the Auburn game. I think me and you were watching that together where they had Auburn beat at Auburn. Auburn, of course, down 10 with like a minute left. They score.
What year was that? I'm trying to remember.
I don't remember. Like, I'd guess it like 2010-ish. But they score. Auburn scores, and then they kick the onside kick, get the onside kick, and then score with like 10 seconds left to win the game. It was so disgusting. But then, if you don't recall some of the other ones, they've been knocking on that door. They look, and they have wins against Utah, and we'll talk about some of their nice wins. But to me, They were at Wisconsin when they were top 20. They lost 16-14, Patty C, back in 2012, right? 16-14, right? Then the Auburn game was 2011, by the way. They lost 42-38. They had a 38, I think it was a 38 28 game. That makes sense. 38-28 game with like a minute and a half left, and they lost, right?
Oof.
And
wait,
then,
was that the one with the was it what was it, onside kicks or
yes, onside kicks, man. It was just absolutely brutal. Then so last time they played in Salt Lake City, they lost 30-26. You know, I know they have some wins against Utah from before. Or how about at USC? They lose 17-14, right? 17-14 in 2013 at USC, right?
I mean, this program, you're right, has emerged into, after what seems like a century of relative mediocrity, into every few years a 10-win team. I mean, what they have 4 10-win seasons in their history, and they're all since 2012. And shoot,
7-point loss at number 8 Oklahoma. I mean, they've knocked on that door, man. Washington, they only lose by 14. That might have been the year Washington went to the playoffs. What year was that? 16, right? Yeah, you're right. And how about this? I mean, they won the Mountain West just 3 years ago. They would have been in the mix for, we think, moving forward. If you win the Mountain West, you can potentially get to the 12-team invitational. But you look at some of their seasons, man. Which one was it? So in 2012, they were 11-2, and you dive into that schedule. They had a 3-point loss to BYU and a 2-point loss to Wisconsin. They were 5 points away from being undefeated in 2012, right?
Who is the head coach of that team? That was
Gary Anderson.
Gary
but
Anderson,
Matt Wells also had a fire year with them. What year was that? I think it was 18, maybe. Yeah, 18, 11-2 in 2018. 7-point loss at Michigan State. This is what I mean. They were knocking on the door. 9-point loss to at Boise. So like, you're right there. You're right there. Now, the question I would ask you, I know Blake Anderson in year 1, he walks in after Matt Wells takes the Texas Tech job. He walks in and he wins the Mountain West.
Yeah.
But since then, 2 6-7 seasons. So you could argue that he did that with Wells's players.
Well, Gary Anderson was there for a couple of years.
Two stints.
After Matt
Wells.
Stints.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
But
Gary Anderson left him with nothing during the COVID. I mean, who can really take anything away from the COVID? Gary Anderson was 7-6, but then went 1-5 during COVID. Matt Wells, or Blake Anderson rather, comes in 11-3 in Mountain West champs. Pretty damn impressive first year.
Yeah, Ryan Hasty saying Utah State has a strong fan base. That is correct. They certainly do. Football, basketball, so check out the college basketball experience, and they always have a good fan base. But look, folks, we're going to talk more on that in a second, but I want to tell you, you're currently listening to the College Football Experience, part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. And make sure to check out the Sports Gambling Podcast as they've started their top 10 fantasy football preview series. The quarterbacks and tight ends episodes are already live and ready to listen to. It's never too early for the National Football League. Back talking Aggie football, Patty C. What's it going to take? Let's load up these graphics. All right, let's load them up because
pay attention to these beautiful logos Colby was able to track down here. This team has a fantastic logo history.
Yes, but this is the one they should be using nonstop. They should be using that one nonstop.
I like
in my
it.
opinion.
Yeah.
But this one works too. This one's fun. Blake Anderson, 74-53 in 10 years. Won the Mountain West his first season. 0-3 though against BYU and Weber State. 0-2 against BYU and 0-1 against Weber State. Where are you at with Blake Anderson? You think he's the guy for the job, or like, there's no way he's on the hot seat, right? Because he's been bowling all 3 years, but I think you kind of the blueprint's been there for 11-2 seasons that are damn close to being undefeated.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it comes down to what are your expectations at Utah State. I think the bar has been raised a little bit to where, 8, 9, 10 wins might be the expectation. Is that, what do you think? Is that reasonable?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, look,
Year
they're
in,
also-
year out, or is it like, every other year you're in that range, and then you're in the
Well,
6-6 range, because
I
that's
mean,
that's what it's been for the most part. He's had 2 6-6 regular seasons and then a 10-2 regular season. So, or no, was it a 9-3? I think it was a 9-3 regular season.
I think though, like when I think about it, like the difference is this. And like I said, I got to interview Blake Anderson. I like him. He's a nice guy, hell of a nice guy. And I'm rooting for him. But if you look at besides that championship year, so let's start in 2022. He gets the championship his first year in 21, wins the Mountain West championship. But in 22, they lost to Alabama 55-0. Weber State 35-7. And FCS beat you by 28 points, right?
That's bad. The Alabama win is whatever. Yeah. The Weber State.
Well, no,
that's a concern.
But before I had like top 10 games, they were down losing by 7 and losing by 4 and losing by 3. My point is that.
Sure.
Now, granted, that is Alabama.
Yeah.
Still, they lose by 28 to Memphis in the bowl game. Like they got their ass whooped in a few amount of these games. Then you look at last season, and even though they make a bowl game, they did, JMU was up. What was that score at one point? I know they cut it to 7, but
I think that was up by like 20 something, maybe even high 20s. I feel like we were really giving it to them at one point.
San Jose State beats them by 21. Boise State beats them by 35. Georgia State beats them by 23. So I ask you this because, and they got very lucky to beat UConn.
Yeah, we were up 38-17 at half. So we were up 21 at half, but then they stormed back and cut it to 7 by the end of the game.
So I ask you, where are you at then with because in one way I'm like, well, he won you a Mountain West championship. You don't normally win a Mountain West championship. But at the same time, I'm like, this team is just not competitive like the other teams were. Like whether it was Anderson or whether it was Wells, you had, and Wells is available. If you were to fire Blake Anderson right now, you could get Brian Harsin, you could get Matt Wells. You know what I mean? Like you can get some names.
Let's be honest. I mean, Matt Wells, the 9-win season he produced in 2013, also, one of their best seasons in team history. And then he's responsible for 2 of those, 4 10-win seasons. So Matt Wells, awesome, but has 2 6-7 seasons, just like Blake Anderson, has a 3-9 clunker. So
if you're the athletic director, what are you doing?
I'm going to let it ride with Blake Anderson. I mean, he's been bowling 3 out of 3 years. I think that is really what you should expect out of this team. If you can go bowling every year and win your conference championship every 3 years, you have a good coach. But you do need to pay attention to the trend. And like you said, not only have the wins not been coming, but the losses have gotten a lot worse. So, that's not good. If he keeps going 6-7, at this point, if based on what we just described, he should be due for a pretty big season. If he's going to keep up that standard.
You shouldn't get blown out at Merlin Olsen Field. Merlin Olsen, hell of a damn good player. Let's talk about some of their big games. I touched on this. I still say they're looking for that marquee win, but they do have since 1990. They've beaten Kansas State, BYU, Baylor, Utah a couple times, UCF, Wake, Oregon State, Washington State. They've got some nice wins on their resume.
Those are bigger wins than I think most people, myself included, really acknowledge that they have under their win totals. Those are impressive. K-State, Utah, UCF. I mean, Utah again.
They got Utah in the past 10 years too. It wasn't like that's not, I mean, they got some wins in the 90s, but I'm saying like they got one of those ones at Rice Eccles in the past decade. So they do have some nice wins there, but I just, man, when they were at Auburn, when they were at Wisconsin, when Wisconsin was top 25 and Auburn, I think was top 10, Oklahoma was number 8 in the nation. They were right there. Michigan State, they were right there. top 25 team, and they squandered those opportunities. But
you know what I think it is? I think that they are so overshadowed within their own state by Utah and BYU that it's hard to consider their success, and it's easy to forget about them. They're just not that flashy of a team, but the wins have been there. So, at a certain point, they sneak up on you, and maybe you got to recognize, hey, this program's actually pretty legit.
Yeah, perhaps. That's just something to see with the way. Let me bring up something for you in a second. I just want to say, though, that the College Football Experience Utah State previews brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Pick 8 is now live. Create entries with up to 8 picks, and Underdog will automatically double flex entries, so you can miss up to 2 picks and still win your entry. With more picks to make and extra ways to win, the excitement is higher than ever. The best part, you can win up to 325 times the amount that you originally enter. You can now use specials to boost on all flexed entries. Don't miss your chance to try it out before it's gone. Plus, if you're already a user, deposit between now and UFC 303 for a 10% bonus in cash there. So what are you doing, folks? Sign up. And when you do, sign up with the promo code TCESGPN to claim your special pick plus first time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. Look, they got college football. I think they have one of the best. It's one of the best places for college football edges, in my opinion. I know we're in the dog days of summer here, but they also have CFL action. I saw Robert Martin was talking CFL action. I just played some tonight with the BC Lions game. Also MLB, UFC, all that good stuff. Check it out. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code TCESGPN. We're also brought to you by Circa Survivor and Circa Millions. Yes, Circa Sports is back with Circa Survivor and Circa Millions, giving away $16 million in guaranteed prizes. And of course, Circa contests have no rake. All right. Circa Millions is just pick 5 NFL teams, ATS, each week and compete for $6 million or survive the NFL gauntlet to claim the $10 million prize. Sign up in person at Circa Sports between now and September 7th and use a proxy to play from anywhere. We even have a deal with the Football Contest Proxy, footballcontestproxy.com to save $50 off with the promo code SGP. Don't have a trip booked for Vegas yet before football? Well, may I suggest the Ultimate Contest Weekend is a great time to go. And if you go, you get to hang out with my pals, Ryan, Real Money Kramer, and Sean Stacking the Money Green, and enjoy some of the open bar events at the greatest sports book in the world, August 22nd through August 24th, over at Circa. All right, we are back. Shout out to the chat. We got Adam Smith talking about his Lobos, Chad G killing it over there, Ryan Hasty.
Let me ask you this. I wanted
to ask. Oh yeah, okay, go. You shoot first.
All right, head coaching record all time here for Anderson, Blake Anderson. He's had one 10-win season in his 10 years of coaching, and that was in 2021. In 7 years at Arkansas State, his best season was he had 1 9-win season. So if 10 wins is the standard, and I think 10 wins most years is probably what you're going to need, 9 to 10 wins to get into the conference championship game, let alone win it. We're asking Blake Anderson to achieve more than he has previously. Now, somehow at Arkansas State, he was able to get 2 conference championships in 7 years. So that's about on that, 1 and 3 year trend that he's been on at Utah State.
Tougher job than Utah State, though.
I would agree with that. Yes, Utah State seems to be more generally competitive in the Mountain West. But what I'm saying is, if the standard is 10 wins, if like Matt Wells made that the expectation, I don't think Blake Anderson has shown consistently that he's able to get that one time in 10 years. Like maybe expectations for him need to be like 8 wins, and then they need to figure out whether that's good enough for them at Utah State. I think it should be, but again, the bar has been raised.
Yeah, and I wonder, like long term, these NFL contracts are starting to get insane. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just waiting to see.
For the coaches or the players?
For the quarterbacks.
For quarterbacks.
Like, I mean, yeah, and the players. But they're starting to get like NBA to me, right?
Yeah, like $50 million a year. Pretty insane.
Yeah. And well, dude, the quarterback contracts are like I actually think if you're a Wyoming fan, you're sitting there like, man, what you would almost expect Josh Allen at some point to like cut them a check. That's gigantic, right? We saw Max Crosby give $1 million to Eastern Michigan, right? That's fucking defensive end. That's defensive end money, right?
We talking Jordan Love now?
Well, I'm just saying, I almost think that's like a blueprint for your university moving forward. Is like, hey, because you can get a big ass check, from some of your alums there.
Yeah, become a quarterback friendly program and then reap the rewards later on.
Like Kirk Cousins should just be giving Michigan State everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
because he's earned none of it. But anyway, I don't know. I just feel like this program though still like that marquee. But I'll tell you this, man, with the 12-team playoff looming, or this season begins the beginning of the 12-team playoff. I think moving forward, Utah State, if you had to select like 10 schools at the group of 5, like would like year in, year out, you'll see them in the mix. Is Utah State making that group?
I would say not year in, year out, but like we've said, once every. I mean, here's the thing: is they have had what 3 top. I got to look at their team history in terms of their AP postseason. They finished number 24 in 2021, number 22 in 2018, and number 16 in 2012. So obviously not going to get an at-large bid. But if you're a top 25 team at the end of the season in the group of 5, and specifically the Mountain West, it seems like every 3 or 4 years they're going to be in the mix.
I was about to say, but like that's back then though. You had a thicker, a deeper group of 5. I think the winner of the Mountain West is going to pretty much have a leg up on most of the other teams.
Yeah, I would agree. So maybe more often than that, maybe once every 3 years or once every 2 years, we'll see Utah State in the mix. I still think the Mountain West is too competitive. They're going to find themselves at the bottom of the Mountain West. I would say you should be happy if you're in that mix once every 3 years at Utah State.
Yeah, and the other 2 years you're bowling. So,
hey. Yeah, that's where your program's at.
That's good. That's a good program.
Yeah.
Yeah. The offense last year, Blake Anderson, former quarterback and wide receiver himself. He runs the offense for the most part. I know they have an OC, but I think he still calls the plays. 26th in the nation in scoring.
How often do you think it's realistic for them to actually make the playoff?
Well, that would be
one in every 10 years, maybe 1 in every 15 years.
They're still like one coach away. Like I said, like if you can just sustain that. I know that what makes Boise different than Utah State?
Nothing. I mean, they are probably the football hotbed of their state, Idaho being, the only competition there. So Boise's clearly the football factory, if not the flagship of the state. But is there more talent in Utah than Idaho? Probably. There's probably not a lot.
And they can play, they're like 30-year-olds.
That's true.
That goes to your benefit. They should be getting better actually after the COVID eligibility wears off.
That's true.
But,
that is very true.
Man, but this offense was fire.
It was
6 and 7 last year, number 1 offense yardage wise in the Mountain West. And dude, they used like 3 different quarterbacks. I swear. Like I feel like each week it was a different injured quarterback, and I was but they still were just fire.
First
in
Cooper
yards.
Lagasse, 9 games. Micaiah Hillstead 8 games, and Levi Williams 11 games. So you're right. All those dudes got a lot of burn.
Yeah, and it was just like, okay, they're moving the ball left and right. Top 25 in the nation in yards. Number 1 in the Mountain West. Top 50 in passing. Number 4 in the Mountain West. Top 30 in rushing. Number 4 in the Mountain West, and 2nd in the Mountain West in scoring points per game. Very, very impressive stuff.
Balanced offense, pretty good.
They do lose those quarterbacks. 2 of those. Cooper Lagasse heads over to Tulsa. Kevin Wilson, nice steal. McKay Hillstead going to BYU. BYU's got, I know that one's just that one has Utah State fans sitting back saying, well, I
don't get the rain, man, cold, but
And then Cooper Jones leaves. Devon Booth was a running back that is pretty solid. That left for I'm assuming some SEC money came in because
he was the leading rusher, 805 yards. Tough L to take there.
Yeah, I'm sure either the SEC money came in or he was just had spent a year in Logan and he goes, "The fuck is that?" I'm not sure. Sure.
Going to Mississippi State, I'm sure is not much. Is no more metropolitan, right?
This is him. We have actually. Hold on, I got him on the line here. This is him. I do have some. What's that? What's that, Devon? How is Starkville, Devon?
I'm dying in this fucking country ass fucked up town. Shit flying in my mouth. The fuck? I can't see pollen. Let's get the fuck out of this country, motherfucker.
Well, I don't know that they're going to take you back to Utah State, but I'm just I don't know that you'll have access to that. But yeah, I think that you just got to, at this point, I think you got to tough it out. You got to tough it out right now, Devon.
He's probably getting that SEC money.
Yeah,
I'm sure it ain't that hard.
Hail State.
There you go.
But yeah. Jaden Bailey also heads out to Texas State. Reggie Foster hits the portal wide receiver Austin Okurwa to the Northern Arizona Lumberjacks at the Sky Dome. They got to cut that roof off that piece of shit. But buddy, the offense took some major hits, but they were active. They went out. Well, first off, they're bringing 8 starters back. You got to love the fact they're bringing back 4 starters on the offensive line. Yep. Razul Faison, I think it is. That dude is a stud. I even like
Faison is coming back. Did I miss that?
He's back.
That's a big one to get back. He's their number 2 rusher. Okay.
And the third back too is back. I'm drawing a blank on his name right now. I was doing my prep.
Robert Briggs.
Yeah, he's back as well. And the receivers, Royals, Davis back, Brock Lane back. So look, 4 offensive linemen and a tight end back on the line of scrimmage there.
Actually, this offense is in pretty good shape, depending on what happens with the quarterback position here.
Well, they go out and they get the God, Spencer Petras.
How is this man still in college football?
Wait, Spencer Petras, when he realizes that Utah State had the number 1 offense in the Mountain West a year ago.
Well, I don't get they bring the head cold, but they're counting down 7-6-5.
Spencer Petras, how did you feel? We got him on the line now. How did you feel playing in Iowa City with that offense?
Yeah, he felt like shit afterwards. Everybody booing the shit out of me, but he worked his ass off.
Well, things are going to be different with this Blake Anderson offense because trust me, what makes you think that you're just going to be able to get the starting job?
Do we have any?
Nothing is over. Nothing. You just don't cut it off.
All right. Anyway, continue. What?
No, you made a good point though, because his competition for that starting job didn't exactly kill it last year either.
Bryson Barnes.
Yeah, coming off the bench for Utah.
Wait, he still won like 8 games, and the guy's was a freshman. He's a pig farmer. He's a pig farmer there. I love the Bryson Barnes get.
12 touchdowns, 11 interceptions.
He's
58%.
Well, he's a runner. They can't all be throws. They can't all be throws. All right.
265 rushing yards. That helps. It could be critical to move those chains.
You all-American son of a bitch.
That's right. He is a pig farmer. That was a great story last year.
Yeah.
Who wins that starting job? Petras or Barnes?
Well, they also brought in TJ Tiller from Boise and Jacob Conover from Arizona State via BYU.
Yeah, they have no returning snaps at quarterback. From last year.
Barnes started like 8 games.
That's true. You should be able to plug and play.
Petras started for 8 years. I just don't know if we can actually say that he played quarterback.
Petras first played in a college game in 2018. College football 2025 is the game that's being released by EA Sports this year. But he'll fit right in Utah. They like their older players. So,
you know, a lot of people go to college for 7 years.
Where are you at with this offense? You think that I kind of just trust Blake Anderson that this thing will fly. They had 3 different quarterbacks last year. I think they used 3 the year before.
They have had good offensive production at the quarterback position.
Yeah, I think they'll be fine on
offense. Lagasse, Bonner, and Davenport the year before, and then who'd they have in 2021? I feel like you're right. I think they've consistently Bonner, Peasley. I don't know. I mean, Jordan Love ain't walking through that door. That said, he only led them to like a 7-6 record his senior year or his final year there. So, I think they're a balanced offense. I do wonder though if Petrus. I mean, just on the eye test alone, that guy was a lawn chair through and through.
Watch, it's going to be fascinating to watch him in a different offense, folks. We're going to talk about the defense, but before we do that, I want to tell you that the college football experience is brought to you by Rhythm. If you're betting on player props, then you need to download Rhythm. Rhythm is the go-to sports betting tool that transforms complex data into actionable insights, empowering bettors with smarter, data-driven decisions. Unlike other platforms, Rhythm combines advanced predictive analytics with an intuitive user experience, making betting both easy and enjoyable. And Rhythm's predictive models were born from the brains of MIT data scientists and quants with over 3 years of data that help drive you to better AI-backed betting decisions. So what are you doing, folks? Claim your free 7-day trial period today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's RITHMM. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. All right. I think the offense is going to be fine. To put a bow on it, I think the offense will be fine, and it's the defense.
You really, what I want to ask is there any example of an Iowa quarterback, A, leaving Iowa, but B, going out and killing it elsewhere? The closest I could think of from a comparison standpoint was who's the guy that went from Wisconsin to Florida?
Graham Mertz.
Mertz. And Mertz improved at Florida, but not drastically. He was still kind of a lawn chair quarterback there. So I don't expect Petrus or who's the other who's the guy from Utah, Barnes, to come in there and dominate. But if you can run the ball and they can have a balanced offense, I expect it to go. I don't expect it to replicate last year though.
Well, I can tell you this: the state of Utah watches Iowa football closely because our boy Deacon Hill is at Utah Tech in the FCS. So we got Petrus at Utah State, Deacon Hill at Utah Tech. Gonna be a fun.
Someone help the state of Utah. You got to look elsewhere for your quarterbacks.
Yeah, returning all the O-line is huge. I agree. I think the offense will be fine. I think the offense will finish top 4 in the Mountain West projection. The defense, that was not good last year.
No.
And this is what I mean. Like, you look back to those Matt Wells teams and stuff like that, their defense was pretty damn good. This is not good. 120th in scoring defense, 11th in the Mountain West, 117th in yards per game, 10th in the Mountain West, 60th in passing. So their pass defense was good, but that's because no teams passed. They said, hey, let's run it at a bottom 7 rush defense. They were dead last in the Mountain West. They were 126 out of 133 teams. So the 7th worst defense against the run in the nation. And that is why you went 6-7.
Those stats can be deceiving. I would need to go back and look to see, but the JMU game, for instance, I'm sure JMU, after they went up big, presumably through a balanced attack, then leaned on the run for the second half and tried to salt the game away while Utah State did manage to mount a pretty good comeback. So if that could be a little bit deceptive, but you kind of have to trust the stats, and the running game is terrible. So I guess you should anticipate. Yeah, run defense is terrible. So you should probably anticipate that being the case again this year.
Well, they got they have one defensive lineman back in Marlon Dean, but they said, hey, everyone else get the fuck out. We're going to go get some guys. Linebacker Jaden Francois is back. The secondary is actually the strong suit of the team. Avante Dickerson, Jordan Vincent, Ike Larson, all back. Kicker and punter back in case you're in a close game. Special teams matter. But to me, this is where they got super active in the portal on the defensive side of the ball. Look what they brought in on the defensive line. They brought in 8 guys on the defensive line. So Aaron Armitage from Stanford comes in, Lawrence Falatia from Washington State, Colin Vaughn from the JUCO ranks, Bryce Cage from Texas State, Miguel Jackson from Charlotte and Biff Poggi, Macchio Williams from Kent State, Gabriel Iniguez from New Mexico State. He started at New Mexico State, so he is a starter on a 10-win team a year ago. Ricky Lalea from Oklahoma State. All those guys are back on the defensive line, or I'm sorry, are coming in on the defensive line. Linebacker, they went after that too. They got to fix that run defense. Will Schaefer comes in from Arizona State. Jaden Pearson from Utah. John Miller from Oregon State. The secondary, they load up. Devon Graham from Oklahoma. Andre Seldon, who started last year at TCU, coming in to Utah State. And Jordan Vincent, another defensive back from New Mexico State. Whew!
Two of the so who's it? Nate Dreeling, who's the new defensive coordinator coming up from New Mexico State. Brought 2 of his guys, so hopefully they're impact guys.
I like that hire, man. I like that hire.
Well, they were certainly good last year, you know.
Jerry Kill, and when you have guys that coach under Jerry Kill, I feel like it's just I feel like they know football, so I like it. I like that hire.
Yeah.
They just went all out on the defensive line. Shout out Robert Martin, big James Murphy guy. What's up?
I was gonna say Ike Larson, a phenomenal returner in the secondary for them. Second on the team in tackles, led the team in interceptions, second on the team in passes defense. You know, forced some fumbles. That's an impact player at the safety position. So
the defense has to be better this year.
Yeah.
It has to. You brought in like some starters elsewhere. Like I said, you brought in Iniguez, the starter from New Mexico State. You brought in Andre Seldon, started at TCU. I think there was one other one, but anyway, maybe it's the Oklahoma kid. But either way, I like what they did in the portal, despite losing a bunch. They did lose these guys and losing these guys on the defensive side. Paul Fitzgerald's the real zinger. He leaves for Utah. Besides that, you're losing a guy to Grambling, to ULM. Colorado State is a little interesting,
it's a slap in the face.
And Adam Tomczak, we got to do a deep dive and see if that's related to Mike Tomczak.
Oh, Mikey, yeah,
yes.
How many Tomczaks can there be out there?
That's what I'm saying. The Tomczak, I feel like I saw he had a son somewhere else too. But anyway, well, how do you think the defense will be this year, man?
I mean, it seems like it's gonna be bad again. They only bring back 4 of their top 10 tacklers. Again, that's always is that a good thing or a bad thing when you're the 120th defense in the country? But I always think returning experience is a good thing. And if you weren't good last year and you lost all your production, you're going to be even worse probably. You can't get much worse though.
I think a hire could be all the difference. And a new DC coming in.
That's true.
I think a perfect example is me and NC Nick were just looking at Mike Elko when he left Wake Forest. So he had the same roster. Wake Forest brought, I think it was 8 starters back. This is a while back, right?
Yeah.
Like 2017, but they had, I think, 8 returning starters the next year. They were like a top 40 defense with Elko. He left. They brought in, I think it was Brad Lambert. They were in the hundreds. So it's pretty much the same fucking team too. It's overnight. Like, how does that happen?
Well, I'll tell you what, Dreeling was the inside linebackers coach, if I'm not mistaken, and the defensive run game coordinator. And they were 50th, even though they were like, I think 85th overall or 80th in defense overall last year in New Mexico State, 50th in run defense. And so that is probably a pretty good indicator that they're going to be tougher in the trenches, which is something they certainly need.
100%. Folks, I see 200 people watching this thing, a little over 200. Hit that like and subscribe button, youtube.com/the college experience. We're previewing all 134 college football teams. So if you're a BYU fan, if you're first off, if you're a Weber State fan, check out the FCS college football experience. We'll cover you there. But Utah, Ute fan, whatever. We give the same amount of attention to Utah State that we do to Florida International or Alabama or wherever. But yeah, let's dive into this because the odds, the win total just at 5.5. Patty, see, I find that disrespectful. Blake Anderson's good. He's good to go bowling his whole goddamn career. How many years has Blake Anderson not gone bowling as a head coach?
Let's take a look at that. One time in 10 years. So yeah, the odds are certainly on the over here.
I'll blindly take the over there. And look, and I'll be honest, if you're a Utah State fan, knowing that you had the number one offense in the Mountain West last year, and knowing you have a defensive change, bringing in a guy, why not sprinkle? You just won one 3 years ago. Why not sprinkle?
Yeah. I mean, do you think the Mountain West is pretty wide open right now?
I do.
Air Force is going to be probably a little down.
Air Force seems down. You got a new head coach all throughout. So there's new head coaches at Boise, Wyoming, San Jose State, San Diego State, New Mexico, and Nevada. Half your damn league is new coaches. You got to strike while the iron's hot.
Yeah,
now, Boise,
I mean,
seems to be coach proof, but I mean, as far as like they still win with firing a coach. They fired their coach and won the Mountain West Championship last year.
Yeah.
So,
but still 8-6. That's not exactly like a world beater of a team that they have to contend with. I do think Boise is probably the favorite here.
I'd say 8-5. That bowl game, they didn't have didn't they start like their fourth string quarterback?
Probably. It's probably unfair to include that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But San Jose State was 7-6 last year. I mean, and they finished second in the conference in terms of conference win record. Obviously UNLV had the bullshit tiebreaker. So they got the nod for the conference championship game. But I mean, like San Jose State, UNLV, a down Air Force, Fresno's going to be a threat.
Fresno's looking pretty good actually. They bring back a bunch.
So what are the odds on that? It's plus 220. I like that. I think that's
no.
good.
Plus 220 to win the Mountain West. And by the way, the juice on the 5.5 wins is they're minus 110 to the over, minus 120 to the under. So Vegas leaning towards a 5-7 season. Patty C, though, I'm with you. If you're a Utah State fan, I would sprinkle. Just throw $100 on them to win the
championship.
Yeah,
have some fun.
Let's jump into the schedule though. Maybe we're full of shit. We'll see. Let's go game by game here. Week 1, Robert Morris, Bob Morris, the Colonials coming to town. That's a
dub. Yeah.
Yeah. 1-0. They're going to put up some big time yardage there. They'll probably put up big time yardage in this game too, because USC's defense is absolute ass. But they're going to lose at USC week 2.
Yes, they will.
Could they catch them if they beat LSU on a short week? Could they catch USC and give them a game? They lost by 3 at USC, a few years ago.
Yeah, if this offense is going and the defense is a little chippier, no, I think USC is just in a different category. They're not going to beat them on the road.
And now the big one, man.
Yeah, now this one, maybe.
You know, they don't play. They should play more. This is the Battle of the Brothers. And they've been playing this game since 1892. Now, unfortunately, they haven't played in about 9 years or 10 years. The trophy that is the battle for the Beehive boot. Patty C, so Utah's won the last 2. They won in Salt Lake City in 2015, 24-14. Right. So 10-point win there. The year before that was Salt Lake City, and 2 years before that in Salt Lake City, they won 30-26. And then the year before that in Logan, Utah State won 27-20. So there's been all of these within 10 points or less.
Well, and 2 out of the 3 of those were in Logan, and they went 1-1, or
no. The two were in Salt Lake City, 1 were in Logan. They won the one in Logan. So
and here they are back in Logan for this one.
Yeah.
Well, that seems like it could be a factor. Yeah, and the fact that who knows what happens with Barnes at quarterback, but if he can give some institutional knowledge about Utah that helps them a little bit, or if he even starts, maybe he knows how to work that defense a little bit. Those could all be factors that favor Utah State there.
Yeah, I still think they get the Cam Rising's 40 years old. Petrus versus Rising. They're both they both are from the Dan Fouts era, but I got them losing it 1-2. Now they head to Temple, and they will literally be 7 people at this game.
Could it be a tricky road spot though? And
no,
literally,
Temple lost everybody. They're gonna fuck up Temple.
Yeah.
So I got them 2-2 in the first bye week. You too.
EJ Warner left last year though, right?
No, for this year he left for Rice. They brought in Clifton McDowell from Montana. They got the Big Mac. We got the Big Mick. He went to the FCS National Championship game, but he after spring practice transferred out. So I think they're going to win in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
So 2-2 at the bye week there. And then comes the Smurf turf. And let me tell you, Utah State's had a lot of success in the Mountain West over the past decade, but none of it has came against Boise State. Boise State has a knack for fucking up Utah State. I'm not taking Utah State here. 2-3.
Any potential letdown after the Wazoo game the week before for Boise that Utah State could take advantage of?
Not really, but maybe a little bit.
I mean, 3 straight home games for Boise here in a bye week before that. They're going to be well rested. Gotta lean Broncos.
Yeah, so 2-3. They're home to UNLV, folks. I just dropped a UNLV preview earlier today. I had Utah State winning this game, but I thought it was a 50-50 game. I will take Utah State to win this one, though. They seem to have Blake Anderson's played UNLV well in his tenure there, so I'll take State.
I mean, Barry Odom in year 1, hot hand, seems to have them going in the right direction, and we're wondering if Utah State is stalling out under Blake Anderson. So they may be going in opposite directions here, but historically, Utah State is a much better program, so I'm going to lean Aggies here.
Yeah, especially in Logan. If it was in Vegas, maybe. Yeah. Then they're home to Bronco Mendenhall in New Mexico. Will he have it going by then? I think State gets it done here.
Yeah.
So that puts them at, 4-3?
4-3.
But check this out. They only have 1 conference loss right now. Then they go to Wyoming, and Wyoming has Craig Bowl is gone, but they did fuck up Utah State. I want to say they're 3-0 against Utah State since Anderson's came there. I thought I wrote that graphic down. Let me just double check it. No, 2-0. They didn't play last year. So 2-0 against State in the 3 years that Anderson's been there. It's in Laramie. I'm taking Wyoming. You?
This is a good matchup. I feel like probably 2 physical teams going at it. Getting into later October, do you think? I mean, Utah State is used to the weather, though, and they're still able to throw the ball around the field a little bit. So I don't know how impacted they'll be by that, but Wyoming plays tough defense. I think it'll probably be a pretty close game, but I got to lean Wyoming.
Yeah, I lean Wyoming too. Wyoming only plays close games, so yeah. They get a bye week on November 2nd. Then they're at Martin Stadium in Pullman, Washington. Make sure you go. If you're going to this game, hit the Coug for the cocktails. Great bar. But I got Washington State winning this. But hey, Utah State won in Pullman. I want to say in the past like couple years, like under Rolovich, they beat them. So
hey, yeah, I don't think that Wazoo is just leaps and bounds better than Utah State at all.
Yeah, shout out to R. Wright who just gave us $20. Do Washington State and Oregon State count as a conference game? They do not, and that's why I find this interesting. Is because right now, even with this loss to Washington State, Patty C, they only have 2 losses. I do believe we will see a 2-loss team in the Mountain West Championship. And
unfortunately, I don't see them navigating the last 3 games of this schedule without another conference loss. So,
but it could be good, man. Like, hear me out here. It is November 16th. You have Hawaii coming off the island to cold-ass, hostile-ass Logan, Utah.
Yeah.
That's
probably a dub. Yeah, me too.
And then Sean Lewis comes in with San Diego State, which San Diego guys, November 23rd in cold-ass Logan, Utah, hostile environment.
Yeah. This ain't one of your little ski trips. You got to go bang fucking all day. It ain't going to turn out well. I don't know.
State, I think State, that's a 50-50 game, but I lean State because it's Maverick Stadium there.
And that would put you on the over at that point? That gets you to 6?
Wait, so my wins would be Robert Morris, Temple, UNLV, New Mexico's 4, Hawaii 5, San Diego State 6. Yeah, but not only that, it puts them in a position to go into Fort Collins, which go listen to the Colorado State preview, and the San Diego State preview, and all of the Mountain West. But it puts you in a position where you could clinch the Mountain West championship game if you beat the Rams in Fort Collins. Now, I took Colorado State in that game, so I don't have Utah State playing.
That's not a stretch at all, though, to think that they could go into Fort Collins and get a W.
Yeah, I mean, or they could beat Wyoming. Wyoming's a weird team.
Yeah, True.
The one flat out conference loss is Boise State. The rest are all winnable.
Right. I mean, I think the aggregate of all those games, you're looking at least 2 losses. But like you said, that might be good enough, depending on tiebreakers, to get you into the conference championship game. Get that rematch with Boise, probably. And
problem is, it's on campus. They do a proper conference tournament or a conference championship game.
Yeah, I mean, if Boise's their boogeyman, maybe a conference championship is far-fetched here, but hey, things break in weird ways. And Utah State is only 2 years removed, or I guess 3 years removed from a conference championship. So maybe Blake Anderson's got another one up his sleeve here. He's kind of due based on their recent trends.
I'm taking the over though, because like when I think about it, I said 6-6 was what I just went through and rattled this off, but like they could beat Colorado State. They could beat Wyoming. I mean, I guess theoretically they could also lose to UNLV and San Diego State, but I feel like he's proven to me that I think it's a decent play. I don't think it's that bad. You?
I think the over is a pretty decent play. Yes, I wouldn't say it's an amazing play, but I feel confident that they'll get to at least 6, which would be the over. So, yeah, I mean, the Mountain West Championship, upon further review, seems a little more far-fetched than just the over-under. So, yeah, that's the play I would make.
And our right in the chat, shout out to him. And there is no more divisions. The only conference with divisions still is the Sun Belt, and maybe the CUSA. I think CUSA got rid of it. I think it's the Sun Belt. But that's what makes this interesting. You're not necessarily looking for the second best team. You're looking for the team with the easiest route. Yeah. I previewed UNLV today, right? And if you can go listen to that episode, but their schedule to me is the hardest I've seen in the Mountain West. I have one more team to preview in the Mountain West, and that's happening tomorrow at 9 a.m. and that's Wyoming. But by far, out of all the teams I've talked about in the Mountain West, I find their schedule, UNLV's, to be the hardest. So UNLV played for the championship game, and there has been a shit ton of parity in the Mountain West over the past 4 years. Last year was Boise, UNLV in the championship game, even though San Jose State maybe should have been in the mix based on that nonsense tiebreaker.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
But the year before that was what? It was didn't Fresno win it? I think. And then the year before that was Utah State. And I believe the year before that was San Jose State. So you've gotten parity, and San Diego State was playing in that, so you've gotten some real parity in this conference. So Utah State might be in a position to get to the Mountain West Championship. I wouldn't.
It's kind of like the MAC, where there's just not a huge talent gap between any of the teams. So if your coach puts it together, you get the transfer portal right, you develop a quarterback steps up. If Petrus or Barnes balls out, then this team is very capable of, going up a level.
Let me ask you a question, though. Let's say they upset Utah, right?
Yeah.
If they upset Utah, but lose to USC, Boise State, and Wyoming, there's no way. But they win the Mountain West, but they have a win against Utah, who wins the Big 12. There's no way they could be that top-ranked team?
I said pretty darn unlikely that this team comes out of this as the
group they'd of have 3 losses, but you'd have a win over a conference champ.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have a win over a team with a bye, presumably. That is probably a bigger feather in your cap than any team out there will be.
If Liberty goes 12-0 or 11-1, but they have nothing on their schedule, I think Utah State fans would say, "Hey, what the hell? We have wins." We have a win against a Big 12 champ, Utah, And then we have Washington State, who was just in the Power 5, and obviously we'll see how Washington State does in the Week 3 Apple Cup that they play, and Texas Tech. You know,
That's
I think it's going to be very interesting this year with this 12-team playoff. Like,
those will probably be 2 bigger wins than almost any other Group of 5 team has if they're able to get Utah and Washington State.
Yeah, I think that, and all those games matter now to me. Like the Mountain West perception when they play these other opponents, like Boise's at Oregon, all that stuff's going to matter way more than it did before. So anyway, I'm on the over. Patty C's on the over. I think it's an exciting time for any mid-major school. I'm an ECU fan, so I'm just super excited for this season. I'd like auto bids for all these mid-majors, but either way, 12-team, it's a start to me.
It's a thing of beauty. Let's enjoy it, but yeah, it might not be the end of the road.
But I think if you're a Utah State fan, you're saying, "Hey, we actually have a shot here." You know, that Utah game, bring out everybody. You steal that game, fuck, man.
Season gets real exciting right away.
It gets really exciting, yeah. But anyway, yeah. So look, folks, tomorrow morning we'll be live with the Wyoming Cowboy preview, and then we wrap up that's the final one of the Mountain West, and then we jump into the Big Ten, which has like 1,000 teams this year. But go check out all the SEC previews are out. All the Mountain West previews are basically out by the time you listen to this. So yeah, subscribe, tell a friend, and yeah, youtube.com/the college experience. Hit that like button, subscribe button. Once again, shout out to R Wright hooking us up with 20 American. And yeah, give Patty C a follow on Twitter, Patty C831. I'm on Twitter at the Colby D. Hop on over to iTunes. Please, if you can, give us a 5-star review. And please, if you're on YouTube and you're a Utah State fan, let us know your thoughts. Let us know how, what you're thinking. 8 wins, 9 wins. Can you beat Utah? Can you beat Washington State? It's going to be a fun season for all these. It's before this season would get lost in the luster. If I'm being completely honest, and I love mid-major college football, but now that you have that seat at the table, it makes it so much more interesting.
Oh yeah, all these teams have a crack at it at the beginning of the year. The world has opened up to a lot of different teams now that it never was open to before.
Let's go. All right, folks. This is the College Football Experience. We're on Twitter, by the way, at TCE on SGPN. Give us a follow there. Check out the Sports Gambling Podcast. Check out all the wonderful shows we have. The Stadium Heads Podcast. Myself and Michael Barker, aka College Football Campus Tour. We just previewed the entire Mountain West and Pac-2 stadiums. Did a deep dive on Merlin Olsen Field there at Maverick Stadium. Go check out that. I think Utah State fans will dig that. Also, the FCS College Football Experience, Weber State, Southern Utah, Utah Tech. I'm just waiting for Utah Valley to start their football program. What's going on, Valley? Get it going. All right, folks. Till next time. Check out all those ones. This is the College Football Experience. You better start thinking about yours. And we out of here.
Run and shoot. We can really run and shoot.